welcome to Arcade Couch, the best place to chill with your friends and get your gaming goodness every Monday at 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Time. I'm Ashley Hobley. Joining me on the couch today is Ciaran Marchant.
Hey everyone, Ashley and we have the keys to the castle. Or to the
nobody
couch.
here to tell us what to do.
Exactly, nobody. We don't have to talk about cuties. Cuties are out the window this episode, people, so sorry if that's why you tune in.
Yeah, you're going to be disappointed. We've got a few things to talk about on the show. It's a bit of a quieter week due to the state of the world. But we'll be talking about Sega releasing new hardware, kind of. There's more Pokemon coming, so there's going to be a little bit of Q's talk. And Valorant. Is it good? Question mark. But before we get into anything, I do want to mention, over at itchy.io. Yeah. Itchy.io.
.io?
No.
.o?
Yep. Itch.io. That's it.
.io? There you go. I was going to say .io.
Yes. Yep. So they're currently doing a special bundle for racial justice and equality at the moment, raising funds for the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund and the Community Bail Fund to help out with all the things happening over in America at the moment. For just only $5 minimum, you get over $3,468 worth of games. There's currently $742 different items available in the bundle. Games, a lot of indie smaller games, but there's also bigger title, more well-known indie titles like Oxenfree, Night in the Woods, Tonight We Riot, Super Hexagon, Overland, and Wide Ocean Big Jacket. So if you've got a PC, you like playing smaller indie games, that's definitely something to go have a look at. I'll put the link in the show notes below. Still 8 days to go in the fundraising, and they've currently raised $1.6 million at the moment. So
nice.
That's a great
really
deal.
Good. That's incredible.
Of course, if you can help out in any way, that's always good. So yeah, I thought bring people's awareness to that is a great cause and a great deal. Honestly, a lot of great stuff in there. All right, let's kick things off, and we're starting to get more information about The Last of Us. This story caught my attention because it just might get me to play The Last of Us, possibly.
Oh, what?
Over a DualShocker, a lot of games can, if we're honest, be pretty impenetrable. If you're reading this article, you've probably got years of DualShock practice under your belt, and so utilizing both analog sticks in order to line up perfect headshots feels organic. It can be easy to forget, however. Not everyone finds the majority of PS4 games, so pick up and play. The answer simply isn't to get good. Naughty Dog's brand of cinematic action has attracted a relatively entirely new audience to the industry, but these people may not be particularly well versed in the language of AAA game design. How do you allow them to enjoy a title such as Last of Us Part 2 without putting them off? So Naughty Dog's response has been to make practically everything in the anticipated sequel customizable. There are multiple difficulty levels ranging from the story-centric lightest all the way to the hardcore survivor, and that can be tweaked entirely to your tastes. You can adjust sports games-esque sliders to determine, for example, how much damage you take and how alert your enemies are. Then there's also comfort items. It's all relatively straightforward. You can alter the size of subtitles, enable colorblind filters, and resize the heads-up display. But then there are just basic toggles. You can also have the title automatically switch your weapons or completely program the controller layout to your personal preference. Then we move into the area of accessibility. You can play practically the entire game using sound. Naughty Dog has implemented a range of audio triggers that will allow blind people to survey their surroundings, discover items, and eliminate their enemies. An incredible text-to-speech option means that many collectibles and interface items will be read aloud by the title. And apparently there's a message in there saying that Sony is capturing a lot of this data. So this is sort of different things they'll be implementing in future games. Apparently there's also like a slowdown mode that for people who don't have like quick reaction speeds, they'll slow down the game so you can like sort of react to things better. As someone who is I've said in the past, I'm not keen on doing Last of Us Part 2, obviously, because it's very intense and stressful. But maybe if I can slide all the difficulties like way down and all the AI is stupid, and I don't have to worry about people popping out of nowhere.
I think Ash, I
I'll enjoy it a bit more.
No, Ash, I think the game's still going to be atmospheric and scary. I don't think there's a...
That's fine, as long as
know.
I don't have dogs popping out of everywhere.
Well, they might
chasing me.
do.
Like,
They might do.
not
Just
if I
because
turn
you've
down
made-
the settings like really low.
But what setting is it? The scariness setting? Are you...
No, if the enemies aren't aware of the noise I'm making, then I can like sneak up and stab them in the neck. It'll be all good.
Sure, Ashley. I think this is fantastic. Like, this is actually incredible, and it's almost surprising that it's taken so long for console gaming, or gaming in general, honestly, to get to this point. I've always wanted settings in consoles gaming to be more wide and variable with everything. And I think it's going that way, and I really hope this game sets the precedent, not for just your normal gamer wanting to change keybinds and mess around with things, but also so it's more accessible for everybody. I think it would be it's these are stories, especially The Last of Us, in my opinion. These are stories that everybody deserves to see in its conception, even with the HBO version coming out. I still think there's still so much like storytelling in these games that isn't always going to be able to come through in the TV show. So I think I'm really excited to see that come to fruition and really push forward with that. And I'm excited that the extent of accessibility like functions in this game. Like, I think this could be revolutionary for gaming in general if this becomes the social norm for developers to make input into their games.
Yeah, if like Sony comes out and says, "Hey, this is the standard we expect from our first-party studios," that's going to be a huge push for accessibility across the board. Even just basic things like, "Hey, you can change the subtitle text size."
Yeah,
like every person on the planet would very much like to be able to adjust that.
There's been a number of games in recent times. I think Death Stranding might have been one of them, where
Probably.
the subtitles were teeny tiny, and even though people might be playing on larger screens, you're still sitting far enough back on a couch normally that teeny tiny subtitles can be really hard to read. So that's those are functions that you almost feel like are just too obvious that they should have already been in general, but it's good that they're finally here and that they're being implemented in games, and hopefully The Last of Us does takes that banner and kind of wields it so the rest of gaming can follow suit.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty impressive. It'd be interesting to see how it plays out in practice. Like, just someone with very, very poor eyesight could potentially finish the game through sound notifications is crazy to me. That seems like
it's even like to the point where I recently watched a Overwatch coaching video of somebody who has 2200 eyesight, so everything's blurry, but they're still playing Overwatch with just based off sound cues and everything, which is amazing. Yeah. Like, it's so impressive and so good that people have the opportunity to adapt the games to what they need to be able to play them.
Yep, so I look forward to the first streamer saying they can play The Last of Us with their eyes closed.
Oh, that's true. But yeah. I think it'd be really interesting to watch a blind person or somebody who has those kind of difficulties play The Last of Us, just because it would be really interesting to hear them speak about it and what they're interpreting and what they're seeing, compared to what the actual game is. That's really
how they're experiencing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody else, yeah. So good work, Naughty Dog. Just another couple of weeks to go.
Yep.
Till it drops. Remember,
a week and a bit. A week and
keep
like
those spoiler hashtags muted.
Damn straight.
Not long to go. So Sega have announced they're releasing new hardware. It's been it'd have to be like almost 20 years since the
Mega Drive.
No, what was
Dreamcast was the Dreamcast.
Dreamcast came out. So yeah, anybody expecting a special one of those, you're gonna be disappointed, because what they're releasing is the Game Gear Micro, which is incredibly tiny. It's literally smaller than the palm of your hands, which begs the question in regards to how it'll be playable. Apparently, it'll launch on October 6th. It will come in 4 different colors, and each one has 4 different games. So if you want the complete collection, you need to buy all 4.
Oh, no.
So the black one has Sonic the Hedgehog, Poi Poi 2, Outrun, Royal Stone, the door when opened. Blue one has Sonic and Tails, Gunstar Heroes, Sylvan Tales, Babku Animal. The yellow one has Shining Force Garden 2, Shining Force Garden, Fight of Conflict, and Nazapoi Yu Aru Roix. Yep. And the red one has Megamai Tensei Gaiden Last Bible, Megamai Tensei Last Bible Special, the CG Shinobi, and Columns. So the Game Gear originally released in 1990 and included games like Sonic the Hedgehog, Shibin, Space Harrier, Mickey Mouse's Land of Illusion, and Prince of Persia. So yeah, this is an interesting product to release. I mean, I know we had the slate of different like minis and classics,
yeah.
But you know, at least you could play them on a full size screen. This thing is, looking at the image they've included of someone holding it, either it is incredibly tiny, or someone has massive hands.
I think they have massive hands. We all know,
we all hope.
in Japan, there is a large market for large-handed models. It's ridiculous. Like, I swear, I got something of the same size, maybe even very similar, in like a cereal box one time, or like maybe in like a McDonald's Happy Meal toy. Like, it was just some crappy game though. What made this laugh? And this comes from the Press Start article. Is just that final bit you read, where you listed off some of the games that were featured, including, Mickey Mouse's Land of Illusion, Prince of Persia, Gunstar Heroes, Streets of Rage. You list those games, and then you look at the games listed for each of the devices. And, like, for me, and I will say I didn't exist when the Game Gear, when they were initially released. I was not even a sparkle in my dad's eye. Ashley, you were at least 20 at the time this came out, so
I was 2.
Were you though? For me,
I would have known at that age.
For me, the yellow and the red ones game catalogs are very much like a big yikes. Like, they're just kind of...
They're very Japanese.
They're very Japanese. The yellow one's just like 3 games from the same series, and then the red one's got 2 games from the same series. They spread out the 2 Sonic games across from the black and the blue one, because if they had put both Sonic games on one, that would be the highest selling and hardest to get. Would just be the Sonic one. It's sure. I guess I'd love to see the price. Like, I'd love to see the price because... $60 bucks.
$60 Australian dollars.
Yikes! That's a yikes from me, folks. $60 Australian. Holy crap! Oh no!
I mean, I'm sure there's licensing things, and they're pretty high quality. But
yeah, okay.
But I mean, that's a tough ask. I mean, well, yeah.
No, that's a tough ask.
The handheld market is very different.
How much the classics, like the PlayStation Classic, was not that much more expensive.
No, it was like $100.
It was like $100, and you got more games for your device.
Yeah, but you needed to have a screen to play them on. This one has one built in.
Oh god. I feel like it's a very small screen.
It's got a battery in there as well. You don't have to plug this in there.
Okay. It's very interesting. It's just, I don't see that, at least in, like, I feel like it's targeting a nostalgic market, but I don't think there's enough of that nostalgic market there.
Okay. What if I told you there's an attachment you can get to make the window bigger?
That's worse.
Go to 1 minute 55 and the announcement
there's
video.
An image of it. It's like an old school,
I thought that was a photo of the old Game Gear. No.
It's like it's like you've got one of those old school telescopes, and you've already like put it out a little bit, but then there's like an attachment that bolts onto the end of it to make it even longer. Like, That's not
well. These used to be a thing back in the day.
Yeah, but that's not.
You'd attach one of those to your Game Boy so you could see it.
Yeah, but
better.
you don't. They're sold. Are they sold? They have to be sold separately, right?
I assume that if
Or
you order all
oh,
four,
wait.
you get some kind of magnifying glass. So if you spend
You get
$240
some
on this, you
kind-
get this magnifying glass.
That's crazy. $240 if you want the magnifying glass. Sega, you're having a laugh, buddy.
What a deal! Not four, not one for each, just one.
Just one, because you're only going to play one at a time.
So if you want to have one for each to make sure, so 4 people can play one at each at all times, you'll need to buy 4 sets.
Oh, that's so, that's so bad. That's really Sega. Whatever you've got like stashed and whatever you've been like on for the last 20 years, I want some, please. Like, holy crap!
Well, to be fair, the only problem is it doesn't make the buttons any bigger, which I suspect will be the more difficult thing. Trying to use that
Well, that's the
tiny
thing, right?
D-pad.
The thing is, right, the size of that magnifying screen attachment, that would make using the buttons and like the directional buttons harder, right? Because there'd be less like space for your thumb to move on.
Yeah, it's a...
Oh no!
I mean,
no.
good luck to them. I'm sure there's like collectors and that kind of thing will be picking this up. Can't imagine it'll be like a gift for like you're not going to get it for any of your children or anything.
Viewers of the Explosion Network, if any of you buy all 4 in the magnifying glass, I'll refund your money.
Whoa!
It's a one-time thing.
All right. Guess I'm getting the 4.
Damn it! Terms and conditions that do apply.
Yeah, moving on. Sony has had a big hit from the Australian Federal Court after it was announced that they ordered Sony to pay $2.4 million US for breaking the country's consumer laws by misleading people about video game refunds. So between October 27th and May 2019, Sony Europe's terms of services implied that users did not have customer guarantee rights regarding the quality, functionality, completeness, accuracy, or performance of their purchased digital games, reads a press release on the Australian Competition Consumers website. This was false, as these guarantees cannot be excluded, restricted, or modified. According to the court's ruling, Sony Europe made 4 players in Australia think they only had 14 days to return a digital game. Even then, they could only get a refund if it was authorized by the game developer who made it. A 5th person, meanwhile, was apparently told by Sony Europe that their refund had to be in a currency on the PlayStation Store rather than getting the money back outright. Consumer guarantee rights do not expire after a digital product has been downloaded, and certainly do not disappear after 14 days or on any other arbitrary date claimed by a game store or developer. Of course, this follows Valve being fined severely as well back in 2016 for misleading Steam users about refunds. Good move, I suspect. I'd be interested to see what game they wanted to get a refund on. But I mean, that's good that Sony is starting to change their tune on refunds for certain games. It's a tough one because like, how can you claim that something is broken or not working unless it's like really broken? And then it's like, why did you buy it in the first place?
It doesn't even have to be broken. It could be if you're not happy with the quality of the game. Like if you just that's legit in Australian consumer law. If you're not happy with the quality, you can ask for a refund. Which is, it's these digital marketplaces need to know, because what you gonna do when the Australian consumer law comes to you? Like. Straight, like it's happened to Valve, it's happened to PlayStation, everybody else. I think the Epic Store has probably got ahead of this and have learned the lesson from Valve. But I think we're Australians are lucky that we have such a thing like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that they're backing us. I just feel like some people would sort of abuse it. They're like, "Oh, I didn't like it. I want a refund." When
I think
there
is stuff in consumer law where it's like you can, like, with discretion, like it has to be like following a certain thing though. Like you can, obviously, if you see somebody consistently refunding stuff, you would probably then go,
yeah, we might disable your account.
What's going on here? Like, let's just what's going on?
It's like, what, really? Last of Us Remastered? Is it not of the quality that you enjoyed? Crazy. I do like this point as to why apparently they gave Sony's instructions to support staff explaining why users could not receive refunds for digital purchases. In this case, the content has been downloaded, is available to use on your console, and cannot be removed even after refunding. As this content cannot be returned, we cannot consider a refund of the purchase. As there is no actual fault with the content, we cannot consider a refund of the purchase.
What? Sony, I think this is the thing. Everything that I've read about the quotes from Sony, I'm like, alright, Sony, you're trying your best here to get around this. Like, it's very much, like, it's the sake of, for that one, it's like, well, there's a license. You guys could just revoke the license from somebody's account in terms of the refund. And then, even if it's downloaded, they can't play the game.
I mean, maybe the PSN store is that bad that it doesn't...
Oh, it also 100% could 100% be the case. If anything, I don't need to get up on my soapbox and talk to you how I hate the goddamn PlayStation Store and all of Sony's online infrastructure so much. But, you know, if one day Sony and Microsoft could come to, you know, get remarried, come together, really kind of enjoy each other's company once more, and Microsoft just be like, guys, we'll fix your infrastructure. You just help us with first party games. We'll fix everything else. It's just, it's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, cool. I mean, I think it's probably going to be barely a dent to Sony, but no, it's a good warning for the future that they need to be good to us Australians. That's just the crux of the story.
That's just be good to Australians, okay?
Yeah, don't screw us over, because we'll fine you a lot of money.
Australia, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when ACL comes for you?
Well, that show needs a new subject matter, so
100%.
Moving on. So interesting story around Take-Two and the development of Kerbal Space Program 2. Of course, I think it was announced back at the Game Awards, from memory, that the second one was coming out.
2 years ago?
No, I think it was just gone, wasn't it?
It was the year before last.
Maybe. But apparently they announced that the game was being delayed till March 2021. Well, between April 1st and this year and March 2021 next year. Then in February, it made the surprise announcement that development of the game had been moved from Star Theory Games to a new studio founded by Private Division publishing label, led by key members of the Kerbal 2 team from Star Theory. Now, from a news report from Bloomberg, written by Jason Schreier, has shed some light on the matter. It claims that Star Theory's founders, Bob Berry and Jonathan Maver, had been in talks with Take-Two about selling the studio, but weren't able to reach terms. Then, on December 6th, Take-Two suddenly pulled the contract from Star Theory and sent messages to its employees via LinkedIn, encouraging them to apply for jobs at a new studio founded by 2K's Private Division publishing label. More than a third of Star Theory's employees made the move, including studio head Jeremy Abels, creative director Nate Simpson, and lead producer Nate Robinson. Kerbal 2 had been Star Theory's only contract at the time, and without the funding, it closed in March 4th. Apparently, they had been working on credit pitches where they were going to pitch to different places at GDC, but of course, that was postponed indefinitely. So, unfortunately, they weren't able to save the company. This is kind of a messed up story.
This is, yep. Mm-hmm.
It sounds like, to the layman, that Private Division went, hey, we want to buy you. They said, we don't like the terms in which you're buying us. They went, hey, you're not making our game anymore, and we're going to hire as many of your people as possible to come make the game for us.
And then a man in like a fedora and a trench coat was in dark alleys grabbing like people as they were leaving work from the developer and just bringing them in like, hey, come work for me. New place, we're starting. I think it's when it says it's third of its employees, you're like, oh, okay, right. Some people have been like, maybe they've just seen an opportunity for growth, or for something different, or they want a bit of job security because they're reading the writing.
Or they
on the
wanted
wall,
to finish the game they were working on.
They wanted to finish the game, and then you're like, oh, but also it was the game director and its lead designer and a lot of top level people from the game moving. You're like, oh crap, okay, this is mutiny. This is 100% a business mutiny, like, that just happened.
It's kind of like a hostile takeover. That's
it's just like... you
won't sell us your company, so we'll just take all your employees.
It's 100% that. That's ridiculous. Like, that's crazy. Yikes. I'm surprised there isn't, like... I'm be interested to see if there's any consumer stuff, or not consumer law, but, that kind of law that Take-Two is broken by doing this. Especially where they've messaged people directly through LinkedIn, like through a private channel to offer them, to tell them to apply for jobs is not great.
Yeah. So apparently, industry analyst Doug Krug told Bloomberg that the move could make reputational risk for Take-Two, as other indie studios might be hesitant to work with them if they feel like the company will pull the rug out if it doesn't get its way on things. I think that's fair to say. Obviously, this is a unique situation where they were building a game based on a Take-Two IP. The original Kerbal Space Program was made by a company called Squad, which is actually not a game developer. What was actually a marketing firm that allowed one of their employees to make a game and was made under the Squad title. It's an odd story, but yeah, I guess it is one of those weird things of an outside studio doing contract work on a property that isn't their own, and there's always going to be the risk that you run, I think.
100%. Very much so.
Of course, Take-Two aren't necessarily agreeing with that idea. They released a statement saying, Private Division opened our own studio, Intercept Games, to bring the development of Kerbal Space Program 2 for our beloved and owned KSP franchise in-house. In doing so, we are empowering our deeply passionate and talented team to focus on quality, and we are thrilled with the progress they are making on the game. Next year's launch of KSP 2 will serve as another proud step in the history of the franchise, and we are confident the fans will greatly enjoy what Intercept Games is taking, where Intercept Games is taking the series. Empowering that deeply passionate and talented team that you poached from this other studio.
That's a very PR statement, man. Like, they've PR'd all over the place in that statement. It's
PR'd everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere,
everywhere, man. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, not great. All right, moving on to some Pokemon news. We finally got a concrete date for the upcoming first part of the Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion, Isle of Armor. It will be coming to Switch June 17th, and it apparently will set you back $45. Of course, in the expansion, you'll be getting 100 returning Pokemon and a bunch of new adventures in some island with dojos and stuff. I mean, I watch the trailer. I mean, it looks cool. It's interesting to see Pokemon returning. Most notably, there's a new form of Slowbro. That's cool. Instead of having the shell on his tail, he's got it on his fist. So he could smash you in the face with it.
Okay. Actually, I think as two of the leading media representatives when it comes to Pokemon Sword and Shield, as we've both played the game extensively and both really, spent a lot of time with this game.
Yeah,
I think this is interesting, and it's interesting. I'm excited. I'm interested to see the overall community's response to this, considering everybody was quite angry and pissed off at the fact that they released the game and then they're going to be putting 100 Pokemon from the old series in as DLC, which I think was a bit of a shell shock where, Pokemon's never really had DLC before. So,
yeah,
it's welcome to, 2010. This is how games are made. But yeah, I think as long as it adds enough content to deem $45 reasonably, I think it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I don't know how much content you need to justify that. I mean, I don't know how long the initial game was. Probably like.
But you finished it, Ash,
20 hours.
completely.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I stopped like 6 badges in. I think.
No.
I think Death Stranding happened. I can't remember.
Probably that
Something.
sounds
like
very
a thing
accurate.
that would happen.
100% accurate.
Yes, but
I by the way, I have 0 badges.
Zero badges.
I have 0 badges, so I can't talk.
But
it's
you
fine.
know, I mean, there's very few cuties in this trailer. I mean, they're all bulky.
Damn it, we mentioned cuties.
Strong. They've shown off a bit more of the Galarian legendary birds of Zapdos, Articuno, and Moltres. They've also got Gigantamax, Blastoise, and Venusaur, which are weird, especially Blastoise. Instead of having like the 2 blasters on his like shoulders, on his shell is all these different like blasters all over it.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Which what that means he has to turn his back to fire at people.
No, he like jumps in his shell and spins.
I guess. I don't know. I think
He just spins and he shoots.
I
in
mean,
every
because
direction.
he's already Gigantamaxed. I mean, it doesn't really matter because he's so huge. But yeah, so not too far away for that one as well. Only a week and a bit till you Pokemon fans can get your hands or feet onto the Isle of Armor.
For this whole Gigantamax stuff, right?
Yes.
As a member of the Pokemon, if you're a member of the Pokemon world, if you're not into Pokemon, whatever, wouldn't you be very worried about a Godzilla type event happening to cities everywhere? Just like a Blastoise goes raging through a city, just gigantic. Like
no, because it's a specific thing that's set at a certain place.
Oh,
There's certain things that are required.
That sounds.
I think it's only like in the raids, which are very specific areas. Yeah, it's very fortunate. Very lucky that there's only very specific places that you can go to do these things.
It's very fortunate then for that world, I suppose.
I guess, yeah. Very lucky. All right. So, Ciaran, I know you've been busy playing the thing we're going to talk in the main section, but you've also been catching up on Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, I have.
How many hours you put in? What are you thinking?
I'm about 18 hours in.
Jesus.
Yeah, I've put in some decent time into it. I haven't played the other game as much as you probably believe. I have 18 hours in, so I'm coming to halfway up to the game. If we're aiming at 40 hours, about halfway through. I'm just literally doing we're just at the train graveyard. I don't think that's really a spoiler, but yeah, yes. I'm just up to there. I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving it. I'm having a lot of enjoyment playing with those characters because I really am fond of those characters, and I think playing as Cloud in this form, I find it so much easier to connect with him as a character other than old blobby Cloud that used to be, very kind of blocky and it was just hard. I don't know, but it's been really fun to see how those characters and see the changes they're making to the game, or just how they're kind of inching the story in different ways. From what I can remember of the early parts of Final Fantasy VII. I'm overall really loving it. I think at the same time, after I finish this, I'm not playing a Japanese RPG for a good 6 months because my brain is melting. After playing, putting 110 hours into Persona, and
I mean, they're pretty different games.
They're different, but at the same time, very similar. like in just terms of just classic kind of stuff. Like you're in a dungeon. You're walking through a room. There's a treasure chest you have to go out of your way to go grab, or just different bits and pieces that I'm just like, or just some of the writing sometimes, or just bits and pieces.
Getting triggered by treasure boxes.
just bits and pieces that I'm like, this is very JRPG again, and my brain is like, nah, I need. So I'm really excited to play The Last of Us because of it. I think it makes me more excited. But at the same time, I'm excited to finish Final Fantasy VII. Playing through Wall Market was a very fun area. and very interesting overall. The different kind of changes they've made to that, as well as some of the variables in the story, depending on some of the choices you make throughout. I couldn't remember Barrett being such a douche. Like, Barrett's really obnoxious at the start of this game.
Yeah,
like,
he is a rough character to have.
Like, it's like, man, I can't remember you sucking this much, Barrett, but you're really annoying sometimes, but sure. But I'm really, I'm excited to keep playing it. I think it's made me think of some stuff that I want to talk about in future about gaming in general that I do. But I've laughed out loud at several points in the game that I think the humor's hit really well. I think Aerith is a better character. Like, I really love Aerith. Like, I really love Aerith now because I think she's just more fleshed out and almost quote unquote human, I guess is the easiest way to say it. Like, she's more personable. Now you got that voice to it. But yeah, I'm aiming to finish this by like next week so then I can take a break from kind of like games for a couple of days before like I have time off over Last of Us. So before I just kind of jump into Last of Us full time for a couple of days to try and get through that as quickly as possible before I get spoiled on anything.
So, the big gaming release this week has been the new Riot game, Valorant. If you've been living under a rock, it's like a strategic hero-based shooter.
Yes, yep. That's a pretty good description. Yeah.
So, Ciaran, you've been playing Valorant. What are your thoughts? Is it good? Does it work? Should Overwatch be watching its back? Should CSGO be shaking in their pants?
CSGO, yes. Overwatch, no. I'm really enjoying it, actually. I just haven't played as much because I've just wanted to be getting through Final Fantasy. I think Final Fantasy has a quote-unquote as a clock where I'm like, I'm stopping playing Final Fantasy as of June 19th. Like, I need to be... Like, I won't...
Finished?
Because I need to be finished because I know...
Deadline.
There's a deadline to that because I know if I don't finish it by then, I might never go back to it. Like, I might just not go back to it as I have with many games. So, I'm really enjoying Valorant. It's very different from Overwatch. It's very slow paced. It's hard to kind of get into and get used to. There's a lot of differences with the guns. You're having to learn spray patterns again from CSGO, but at the same time, you're having to learn all of the 11 characters, kind of getting into what each of them do, how each of them affect the game. Each of the, all the new guns you have to kind of learn and get used to and decide what you want to play on. I didn't have much time on CSGO in many years, so it's there's a big learning curve for myself on it. But I think overall it's a very good, well-polished game that Riot has come out with, and it's actually quite impressive that Riot have done such a good job with this. I think out of releasing with 4 maps, yes, sometimes I get the same map like 3 or 4 games in a row, but there's still a good enough difference. I think there's only one map that I really dislike playing because of some of the design elements, and they're already working to change that and fix that. I think Riot's very active on this. A lot of the bugs that you do expect out of the game, they're kind of handling very quickly. There was a bug on the first day that if you bought the Battle Pass, you didn't get any of your items out of it. So I bought the Battle Pass day one and just didn't get anything. I was like, oh man. And they're still they're still recovering that and fixing that up for everybody and kind of getting that through. But I think it's very interesting. Its store where you buy gun skins is super expensive. like
I love that the first thing you've done is open up the game, look at the gun skins.
Well, no, it wasn't even the first thing, but I have been since this release, so it released on Tuesday.
Yes.
Since this release, there's been this one gun bundle that's really tempting because it comes with 4 or 5 gun skins, and it comes with a machete, like a pick or a machete. No, not a machete, like a pickaxe instead of your knife. I've been like umming and ahhing about buying this. The only thing that's stopping me, it's like $100 plus to get the bundle, and I'm
to get 4 skins and a pickaxe
in a
digital game.
And yeah, it's like and I don't think I'll buy. I highly
That's
doubt
on top of the
that I'll
battle
buy
pass
it.
you've already bought.
That's the battle pass was like $10. It's fine, but like, my god, it's really the bundle is very cool. Like there are some like the guns get all special animations. Like it's very cool. But I think it does a really good job of introducing casual gamers to this kind of format. There is a secondary game mode called Spike Rush, where it makes it first to 4 instead of first to 13. And it also makes you don't have to buy your weapons. It just randomly gives you a weapon every round, and everybody gets the same weapons. So you all get, if there's a shotgun round, everybody in the map's going to have shotguns. And it's very quick. The games only take about 10 minutes compared to if you play the normal mode, which can be anywhere between 20 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on how one-sided the game is. I think overall they're doing a very interesting job, and it's the heroes themselves. It's very interesting to see them playing into this kind of strategic shooter game where Counter-Strike doesn't really have anything to worry about like that. It doesn't have to worry about balancing of characters, and I think there's some, especially with the new character they've just released, Reyna. She is very different. She has after getting killed, she can go invisible and she can like heal herself off of people she's killed. So they're doing some interesting things, and I think with this game, it would be very easy for them to make a broken character. Like, it'd be very easy to make a character that's too good. They've already got Raisin there, who is the only character that can really get kills off all of their abilities. Whereas that's not really a thing for most of the characters, except for 1 or 2, maybe their ultis do. But it's very different for that kind of style of game. When you're having a rough couple of games, it's rough. Like, you can be bottle of your team and feeding pretty hard. But when you pop off, it's really great. Like, there's like flood of like endorphins, or like those good kind of feelings. Like my first time I got an ace in the game, or I clutched down a round by myself, and it comes up in big words to say clutch or ace. You've killed everybody yourself. I think there's a lot of depth to this game, and there's a lot of time to be spent and learn. I think I've been on and off with the game a little bit less than I probably should have. If I wasn't playing Final Fantasy, I'd be putting a lot more time into learning this game. But I think at the same time, I'm enjoying this game, but I'm not forcing myself to feel the need to like put a lot of time in to learn everything. Because I've got, Final Fantasy, into Last of Us, into Ghost of Tsushima, and I really want to play those games, and I really don't want like Overwatch to happen again.
No, yeah.
For me, I think
nobody wants that.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think, I don't think Overwatch in general has nothing to worry about. Maybe the esports scene might have something to worry about, because players are being poached from that esports scene or moving across from that esports scene to Valorant. And Riot are very good with esports, so it'd be, expected that Valorant's going to do very well. But in terms of the actual game itself, I think there's enough difference in Overwatch, where Overwatch is a very casual gamer-friendly game. And I think there's it's easier to pick up different characters and with different guns. It's a lot easier to pick them up than it is in Valorant, where, you're not always your bullets don't always go where your crosshair is telling you they're going. There is bullet spray to get used to.
Oh, good.
There is, there's different, like, just mechanics that you'll run into people, and you can tell people who have played Counter-Strike or played those kind of strategic shooters before in the game, because, a lot of the time their aim is just absolutely bonkers, and you're having to learn everything where it comes to pre-aiming. I think Valorant's got a really bright future ahead of it. There's already a lot of content creators around it making some really good, like, training and kind of educational videos. I would recommend, if you're wanting to get into it, check out HitScan, which is Valorant YouTube that does a lot of kind of educational videos to talk about the game and discuss different points of the game, which I think is really interesting and really good to look into if you wanted to jump in. I would definitely jump in now if you want to. There's no ranked game mode in the game yet. It's only unranked. There's a lot of new people. If you're really unsure, jump in and play Spike Rush. I feel like when I play Spike Rush, I can tell that is the game mode where a lot of people that are still learning the strategic shooter principles are playing. So I think it's a really good environment for people to jump into and learn without having to get stuck in a 40-minute game. But also be well aware that it's totally okay for people to say, this game isn't for me. I had a friend jump in with me Friday night, and he really likes Overwatch, but he's already said to me, I don't think I'm going to like this game. And I went, that's cool. And he's like, but I want to try it, so I have another game to play with you guys. And within a couple games, he was like, yeah, this is not the game for me. I will not be playing this again after tonight. And we were like, yep, cool, dude. Like, it's totally ready just to be like, yep, not the game for me. That's it. I think it's a genre that is not the most easy to get into. And I think it has some problems here and there, but as problems in like a learning curve. Like yes. Dota 2, the first 100 hours of Dota, the game just tells you suck. You're terrible at the game, go home. Like, and I think Valorant has that aspect where some games you can, one team will have like 13 round wins. Like, they'll just go 13 and the other team might have like 1 or 2. Just because of the difference in skill levels. And that's because of the unranked format at the moment. I think if you spend some time now, if you really enjoy it, and then jump into ranked where you'll get paired with people of more of your own skill level and worked out, I think it's going to be really good. And there's a lot of potential in this game. The only downside I have is the game is extremely grindy in terms of, so you can unlock the characters through gameplay. Like you, one by one, pick a character to get a contract, and you have to get the first 5 levels of that contract. And once you get level 5, you unlock the character completely for you to play and use whenever you want. Other than that, there's 5 characters on rotation on all times. So the main 5, like the original 5, are playable at the moment. But it's the leveling to get those characters is man, it does not feel like your XP bar moves very quickly. It's like I played like 5 or 6 games and I'd get almost close to a level sometimes. It's very much depends on if you're able to do your daily challenges, if you're able to kind of work. The good thing is you do level up your battle pass as well as the contract at the same time with the same amount of XP.
That's good.
But yeah, it is just a touch grindy for unlocking those agents at the moment. So I think it will definitely see. They've already been talking about the next agent they're going to release because Riot originally wanted to release 12 agents on launch, but they only released 11 because they were a bit unsure about the 12th one and how it's going to work into the game and change up the game. Mm-hmm. Rumors have it that character's going to have like turrets or lasers that it's going to be able to put around the place,
that'd be good.
Which could could be a very big change for that kind of shooter and stuff.
Yes. So I did play one match. It did run. Admittedly, the ping was not great. This like your friend, this game is not for me.
Yeah.
It is very precise, which I think is the issue for me because I'm an old man. I can't. Reaction speeds are very low.
Yeah.
We did win, but through very little help of me. I was
going to say you were a body on the field.
I think I looked at the scorecard at the ends. Everybody's got like 20, 30 kills or something. 1.
Oh, at least you got 1. At least you got 1.
Yep, got 1.
Sorry. But yeah,
was very lucky.
I think it's it's totally. I'm actually really surprised it ran on your laptop. That's actually really impressive.
Yeah. Yes.
I've had like the best ping on that game. Like not even like it's been really nice and it's good. But yeah, I think everybody should give it a try at least. If you've got the PC to access it on, I think give it a try. There's nothing. It's free. It's like 10 gigabytes to download. It's not that big. It's,
yes. Yeah, it definitely feels like a game that's enhanced by voice chat as well. Or
100%.
Everyone I played,
talking.
Nobody was talking.
You have to be able to. It's about communication of, being able to communicate information of, okay, they're pushing a bomb site. Like the bomb site A is where they're going to. So then everybody else can kind of rotate around and help you at that bomb site instead of, if nobody communicates and then all of a sudden you're sat on a bomb site nobody's running to.
Picks off.
And the other team is all on a bomb site. They put the bomb down and they're all prepared for you to walk in. It's just, communication's a very big thing in those games.
But yeah, I definitely see, obviously, it's kind of built in a way that it makes sense that esports can be
100%.
built around it. It definitely
100%.
feels it definitely does feel more CS:GO than it does Overwatch.
100%. It is very much more. That's why I say CS:GO should be worried. I don't think Overwatch should be worried. Like in terms of player bases.
Even then, I'm not sure that they will be. Obviously, they've already got a massive fan base already, and I feel like a lot of their fan base likes the realistic.
The
element
biggest
to
thing
CS:GO.
is how much support Riot gives to their esports scene. Because
Yes.
Valve kind of hates on CS:GO, like a lot, and it's really like they took them. So I wouldn't be able to imagine any other developer did this. There was one point CS:GO didn't get an update or a patch for 12 months. No new no new like skins, nothing. 12 months.
I mean, if something's perfect, why need to change?
Well, okay, sure thing. That's a hot take right there, but sure thing, Ashley.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Riot obviously has got a great pedigree with League of Legends. I mean, and if they can have another game, there would clearly be.
I'm gonna say Riot's been going on a storm with just stuff at the moment. It's incredible. Like the amount of stuff they've released. So they've continued to support and release new content for League of Legends. They've released Legends of Runeterra this year. They've been talking about and then setting up the release for Mobile Legends for the League of Legends game that's going to be on mobiles.
Yeah.
They've brought out this. They've got a whole bunch of single player content coming out from different developers. Like that's crazy for a company like Riot.
Plus Teamfight Tactics last year.
Yeah, plus Teamfight Tactics last year. My God, it's crazy, and like they're so far apart. Like Valorant is so like its lore and its characters are so far apart from League of Legends that it's really impressive that a company can do this wide variety.
Do you know why they're all fighting?
No, kind of,
What's
yes.
the lore? Yeah.
Yes, because there's the cinematic, almost as good as a Overwatch cinematic called Duelist that they released on launch day.
So much lower than the Apex and cinematics is what you're saying.
No, actually, no. Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
Agree to disagree.
They're, one group of people stealing resources. You know what the funny thing is, right? Overwatch, they never reference the fact that the same characters, like one character could be on both teams at the same time fighting each other. Never reference that. They reference that in game. Say if you're both playing the same character, in game you'll be like, let's get that other me. They're a fake anyway. It's like it actually references the fact that there's multiple. I just find it really funny and quirky. And also didn't think I was going to like the art style of the game. I really like the art style of the game. I like how the abilities unlock.
Yeah. I thought like some of the area effect things I would find a bit odd, like the walls that you can put up and stuff. Like the color wise, it's so different to everything else.
Yeah, but
it was fine.
I think it's supposed to be so different from everything else.
Yeah, obviously to make it.
I'd love to have seen what it looked like on your laptop because maybe that made it look even worse or even more different.
That's true. I guess we'll never know. I guess you'll never know, unfortunately.
No, 100% not.
There's no way for you to find out unless I stream from my phone
on
my laptop screen. Would you like that?
Oh goodness, that'd be hilarious. That'd be really funny.
All right, that's the end of this episode of Arcade Couch. The question for this week: are you playing Valorant? Yeah, I didn't think it. I forgot to do this bit.
You did, and I could see the cogs turning. And you know what? People listening at home, this is what happens when Dylan isn't here. The show is not as prepared as it normally is. Yeah.
All that wisdom is missing.
All that wisdom is missing, but Dylan doesn't have that wisdom anymore either because he had all of his
now we're
wisdom
really
teeth
screwed.
removed. Super screwed. I will say from both of us that we look forward to Dylan being healthy and back hopefully next week.
Yes.
And we're glad that he got those pesky wisdom teeth out, And also, obviously we've also learned Dylan has some kind of pull at PlayStation or in the world in general because...
I don't know. I don't like to think who he's got pull with to be able to pull this one off.
I don't know. He managed to somehow... you know what? I might be insinuating that Dylan is an evil genius. That is Satan. That might be Satan.
He made a deal with the devil.
Yeah, this could be... No, you know what? Stop in there, everyone. Get well soon, Dylan.
Get well soon, Dylan. You can find us on Twitter by heading to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter. You can let us know on Twitter the answer to this question of the show. Are you playing Valorant? Or by emailing us at mail@explosionnetwork.com with the subject line Arcade Couch. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you here next week. Same time, same couch.